Hi, welcome to Loft 1. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Hell of a Summer. It's the directorial debut of Finnwolfhard and Bryk, released on April 4th, 2025. It's a vibrant homage to classic slasher films, a healthy dose of humor and Gen Z flair. As a fan of campy horror films that take place in actual camps, this movie scratched my itch. It's a delightful blend of bodies, and Friday the 13th, feeling nostalgic and fresh. Also, witnessing people my age and younger seizing creative opportunities like this is very inspiring. Quick heads up, this review may contain the occasional spoiler, but I'll do my best to avoid them. That said, let's talk about the narrative. Set in the fictional Camp Pineway, the film follows 24-year-old counselor Jason Hochberg as he returns for another summer, feeling increasingly out of place among his teenage coworkers. The camp's preparations are abruptly disrupted when a masked killer begins targeting the counselors. As tensions rise and bodies accumulate, the group must navigate mistrust and fear to survive the night. The narrative cleverly subverts typical slasher tropes. For example, when Jason discovers a body and alerts the others, they dismiss his claims as a prank. This skepticism adds a layer of realism and absurdity to the characters' reactions, reflecting how real teens might respond to such a dangerous situation. Gen Z really is the most unserious generation. I think Wolfhard and Bryk do an incredible job of balancing horror and humor, creating a film that is both thrilling and largely amusing. My girlfriend and I got some good spooks and laughs from Hell of a Summer. I love how this film started out as a coming-of-age teenage comedy and how it's interrupted by the slasher narrative. It's very funny without leaning into parody. It's an approach that respects its characters and their dynamics as much as it does the horror elements. I also really like the idea of the generational disconnect and the desire for relevance. Jason's struggle to connect with his younger peers and his yearning to relive his memories at camp adds depth to his character. It helps you sympathize with him, especially when all the other characters think he might be the killer. Nothing seems to be going his way, and it's not even his fault, so you can't help but root for him. I love that in this role, fredhechinger brings earnestness and vulnerability to his character. He genuinely feels like an awkward loner trying to fit in with his bullies. I think the ensemble cast is also great. I loved Abby Quinn's Claire. She added some emotional depth to the movie and stands out from her peers as a more mature thinker and an empath. She is the only one in the group with some actual decency and is the only one to try and talk to Jason. Finnwolfhard as Chris and Bryk as Bobby are hilarious. They're charming and funny, and it really helps that both actors are in their early 20s. A lot of their jokes feel natural, they talk like real teens, and their humor never undercuts the horror. My girlfriend and I's favorite character was definitely Bobby. He's kind of a tryhard and can't accept that he's the only one at camp not having romantic success. There are a bunch of other characters that fill your typical slasher roles. Goth Girl Noelle, Jock Mike, Cheerleader Demi, Druggy Miley, the Token Shannon, the Skeptic Ari, and the Hysteric Ezra. Now, these aren't their actual roles, but they have many characteristics of those archetypes, and I love that their characters are so Gen Z. For example, Miley is the kind of spiritual girly that's vegan and thinks she's morally better than everyone for that. Noelle thinks she's sensitive to the spiritual world and likes to be alone and play with Ouija boards. Ari calls out the posers and has a nut allergy. Ezra panics and blames all the deaths on Jason. Every character has their own unique dynamic, and that helps drive the narrative forward in a way that feels genuine. Visually, this movie has a fun atmosphere. I think the production design does a good job of capturing the nostalgia of summer camp. Bunk beds, lake views, campfires, and flashlights at night. It's all good fun that's captured with natural lighting and tight framing. Sure, in some moments, things might look a little dim, but overall, the cinematography is good. I also think the soundtrack and score are solid. I love the lighthearted melodies during comedic moments and the more intense compositions during suspenseful sequences. I say this all the time, but it's true for a lot of movies. The music enhances the emotional beats of the story without overwhelming the narrative. I love the moments where Jason and Claire are alone. I love the moments where Chris and Bobby are alone. There are a lot of good dynamics in this movie that the soundtrack enhance. With a budget of $3 million, I think this movie manages to do a lot. The runtime is only 88 minutes and it's the perfect length. I wish we had more movies like this with tight runtimes and lots of emotional fun. The humor never overstays its welcome. The horror never overstays its welcome. Everything flows together really well and makes a movie that is fun and worth watching. That said, this movie isn't perfect. I only have two minor complaints about this movie. Firstly, the movie doesn't utilize its slasher element as well as it could. There are a number of kills that take place off screen, and this is unfortunate because the setup to these kills is great. We just don't get to see the payoff. Spoiler here, but I said earlier that Ari has a nut allergy. We see the killer coat their knife in peanut butter, so we know Ari's cooked, but we don't ever actually see Ari die. that happens off screen. So there are a couple of kills like that where we get teased, but ultimately we don't get the payoff. I know it's supposed to add to the mystery, but still. Secondly, I think the killer reveal is a little lackluster. I've seen enough slasher films now to know, there may be more than one killer, and maybe this person faked their death. I guess the reveal itself isn't too lackluster, but rather the killer's motivation is lackluster. That's unfortunate because it doesn't let the villain become iconic. And I guess on that note, the mask that the killer uses isn't very iconic. It looks like a purge mask, which is fine, but I would have loved to see something more iconic like the Hard Eyes mask from earlier this year. Oh well, both of these complaints don't take away too much from this film for me. I had a really good time because I walked into this movie with the right expectations. I was expecting campy teenager fun, and that's what I got. In the end, Hell of a Summer is exactly what I hoped it would be. It's campy, clever, and deeply entertaining. It's a horror comedy that knows its roots and wears its influences proudly but still feels original thanks to the sharp wit, great performances, and infectious Gen Z energy brought by Wolfhard and Bryk. Sure, the killer reveal isn't as jaw-dropping as it could have been, and some of the kills leave you wanting more, but those are small flaws in what's otherwise a wildly fun debut. I'm excited about what this directing duo does next, and I'm thrilled that filmmakers younger than me are getting these kinds of opportunities to tell weird, funny, and bloody stories like this. So, if you're in the mood for a breezy 88-minute slasher with heart, laughs, and some solid scares, Hell of a Summer is a killer pick. Thank you for listening to my review of Hell of a Summer. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the content, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast Good Friends. Again, thanks for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.